And we are now joined by the head coach of Wisconsin football, Coach Luke Fickell. Coach, appreciate you making some time for us. How we doing?
I'm doing well, man. Thank you. It's you probably can't see it, but the sun's shining. It's 50 some degrees out here, so things can't get much better.
That's what I heard. It's about spring break time there in Wisconsin. Like the temperature's warming up a little bit. It's a good time to be in Madison, it sounds like.
Well, it is, but there might still be a little bit of frozen lakes out there somewhere. But I'm new to this area, so I'm not sure how that's all. If the sun comes out and we start this, do we still get a few of these other days here and there that maybe may look a little bit different? But I'm hopeful.
Well, that kind of leads perfectly into the first thing I wanted to ask you about. What made Wisconsin the right job for you?
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons. I think timing is a big deal. I really believe in even timing for me and my family. But I also think timing for where college football is too. I've obviously grew up a Big Ten guy. I love the Big Ten. I've always believed that's where I would want to be. But I think in how college football is going too, if you're not in the Big Ten, maybe the SEC as well. I mean, then who knows where you're going to be in the next few years. So that had a lot to do with it. The town of Madison and what it provides for not just for me in my profession, but also for my family was a big deal. And then from afar, knowing or thinking I know a lot about the culture of what this program has been and what has driven this program and what's made them great. I just believed it was a really good fit. And those are probably three of the top things that, when this thing came available and became something that could be a reality, it was a no-brainer for me and the family.
Coach, you're sort of in that dues paying period of the college football calendar where you get winter conditioning and the workouts are brutal and you're not yet touching the football. But what have you learned about your team so far through this winter conditioning phase?
Well, I think even more so that through that bowl prep phase, and even coming in and just doing interviews with the kids, how they feel about this program, how much love they have for all that they've done here. And I know last year was a tougher year, but if you look at it, there's only maybe 4 or 5 guys that really transferred out, and probably only two since the time I got here or our new staff got here. And I think what that shows is there's been a great culture here. I think they really do love, all things about not just Badger football, but about Madison and Wisconsin and the university. So I think for me, that was probably the initial, like, hey, how are we going to win this first month? How are you going to win? What does a win look like in the first month of this new job? And yes, it had to do with winning a bowl game, but it had a lot more to do with, winning in the relationship world and keeping the nucleus and the core of what we had here in the program.
And Coach, there's an awesome clip out on the Wisconsin football Twitter page where you basically are talking to your team after a team workout and just emphasizing the importance of, hey, we got to finish in the fourth quarter. When we have these teams dead to rights, we want to make sure that we get out of there with a W. How do you go about attacking that during spring football?
Well, you got to find ways, and that's what I think you do that in the winter as well. I think those are the kind of the gist of what our strength program's all about. It's not just about, hey, bench press, squat, 40-yard dashes. It's about, hey, how do we find ways to challenge every one of our guys, put them into a situation where they're going to have to perform at the very end. And we're going to have to find ways in the spring to, it's the simple ways of saying, hey, it's overtime, but just finding ways that, hey, everything is about finishing. What's it going to be like at the end of practice? I don't care who wins the start of practice. I don't care who wins the middle of practice. But how are we going to create something that can be, evaluated in whether it's scored or, be a clear-cut winner to how you perform when it's needed most, meaning that fourth quarter, meaning the end of the spring practice, the end of the spring in general. So a lot of things are kind of focused around, hey, how do we continue to understand what fight looks like, especially in the last few minutes.
When a lot of people think about historically Wisconsin offenses, they think ground and pound, they think playing in the trenches, which I'm sure y'all will still do, but you went out and hired Phil Longo. What was the thought process in bringing in someone like him that runs his kind of high pass percentage offense?
Well, I'm not sure that percentage changed a little bit. I mean, we have some standards. No, it's about people. And I think that more than anything, my time spent with Coach Longo over the last 5-6 years, um, I recognize what great coaches look like, and regardless of what they're labeled as, whether they're an air raid guy or they're a ground and pound guy, but great coaches know that they've got to be able to adjust and adapt based on the things that they have and what they need to do to be successful. And from being around him, I just knew if this was a good fit for him, that he would find a way to whatever we needed to do to be successful offensively. That means we got to throw it. We got to throw it. We got to understand what gives us a chance to be great. And we're still trying to evaluate that. I think that's what I love about even Coach Longo and even us defensively, Mike Tressel. We've been very successful for what we've done defensively, but it's not about what we do, and it's not about what we know. It's about players, and you've got to be able to use the strengths of the things you've got. You've got to be able to embrace some of the history and the culture of the things that they've done here, and be able to evolve as well. So for Coach Longo, I knew it that intelligent, smart people, great coaches can adapt and adjust to whatever we need to do.
And sticking in the theme of being it all about the people and all about the players, y'all went and added 13 players via the portal. What was the thought process for your staff around talent acquisition via the transfer portal?
Well, we don't want to be a huge portal team, to be honest with you. I mean, that we weren't like that or didn't have that philosophy, at Cincinnati, just because, we want to be able to bring in young guys. We want to be able to recruit them. We want to be able to retain them and develop them. We came in a situation where, they had maybe 10 commits. I didn't feel like we should run out there and just try to sign, 22 high school kids like might be our philosophy. So we signed 14 high school kids. We knew we kind of had some freedom to, look at, what was going to happen come December 5th. And then we just kind of went about it the way that we thought was best for the program. We got a little bit better assessment of where we are and what we needed based on numbers. Obviously, I thought we were a little bit down numbers-wise at wideout, so we had to kind of, get some more bodies in there. And then obviously the quarterback situation. So it became something we knew it was going to be something we were going to look into. And the good thing about even those transfer guys, I think, if you said 13 of them, I think 9 of them have 3 or more years to continue to play. So I look at those guys that we got a chance to retain and develop, over a period of time as well.
And one of those transfers that a lot of people are going to be watching very closely as we get into the fall is your quarterback, Tanner Mordecai. What has been your impressions of him thus far?
I like to try to hold my opinions for a while. But I am really excited. Obviously, we knew Tanner from afar as well, playing against him for the last few years when he was at SMU and we were at Cincinnati. But so far, he's exceeded the expectations as a leader, as a worker, as a guy that's going to embrace, everybody around him. He's exceeded my expectations and all those things. I'm not saying he's the quarterback yet. I'm not saying he's got all the offense and he can, but the intangible things for a guy walking in the door that's going into his 6th year, that's done this before, he has been incredibly impressive on all the things that I would expect quarterback to do.
Now, most coaches, when they take a new job and their new team has a bowl game, kind of spectate, sit back, maybe take some notes. You said, nope, tag me in. I'm coaching the bowl game. What was the reason behind that?
Well, I'd seen it done the other way and had been a part of the process of it being done the other way. And just didn't feel like it was a great thing for the kids, for the culture of the program, for all those that were involved. It might have been the best thing for the coaches or the new coach, but I didn't feel like it was the best thing for the program and the kids. And so, obviously times are changing and there's so many opportunities out there for these guys if they want to make some changes. So in order to win that first month, I thought it was critical to retain and maintain as much as we possibly could from what they've done here in the last, not saying 25 years, but in particular the last 3 or 4 years. And so not just to gain the trust and respect of those kids, but to gain the trust and respect of, there were so many former players on this coaching staff and Jim Leonard in particular, because I knew those guys would have a direct impact on, us moving forward and how a lot of these guys would look at, this new crew coming in. And so it was really critical for me to kind of get outside my comfort zone and spend a month with a bunch of guys that, I didn't know and probably weren't going to be around a whole lot. But I thought it was the most important thing to build relationships and to try to maintain the nucleus of this program.
Coach, what's going to be the mark of a Luke Fickell coach Wisconsin football team?
A team that can finish. I think if we look back at, some of the successes we had, especially at Cincinnati, I think when we were best, we were a team that could finish. If that meant get the thing to the fourth quarter in the first, year 2, 3, and 4, that was all it was about. In particular, 2 and 3, get it to the fourth quarter. We're going to be out tough. We're going to be out mentally tough. Everybody else, and we had success because of that. And so, we're not going to define what success looks like, but I think more than anything, our ability to finish, our ability to play our best ball, not just at the end of the season, but the end of games, is going to be really critical. And we've got to find ways, like you asked before, how do you train that? How do you really, really train that so that your guys are going to be at their best when it's most important?
Coach, last question for you before we get you out of here. Really appreciate all your time. What can we expect from you that first home game against Buffalo when Jump Around comes on at Camp Randall?
Well, I'm just going to be happy I'm not in the press box again, because I've been on the other side of that one time when I was in the press box, and I don't know that I felt real comfortable as that thing kind of shook a little bit. But I think that might be the first time I kind of take a deep breath, try to look around and soak in how special this place is, how special I know what college football's like. I know what the Big Ten's like, but to have never been on this sideline with that kind of energy and be able to actually enjoy that, no matter what the situation of the game, I've told myself I'm going to take that step back. I'm going to, enjoy that moment and kind of reflect a little bit on how hard you've worked to get to this point, and then forget it because it's the fourth quarter, and that's the most important thing that we said that we've got to be able to do.
Without a doubt. Well, Coach, again, we appreciate all your time. We're excited to watch y'all get after it here in the spring, and hopefully be able to be there at some point in time in the near future when Jump Around comes on at Camp Randall. But we appreciate you, Coach.
Well, you're more than welcome anytime. So we won't be doing it in the spring, but we'll get you here at our game if you want, for sure.
Sounds great. Appreciate you, Coach.
All right. Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me.